Can't see me, can you? Camouflage, right? Good camo? Ah, you got me. You got me. All right. We're still here in the jungle. The wind is up. It's fierce in here, but have no fear. Let's keep on keeping on. All righty. We have, next chapter we have here is Tiger. I think it's the third and final chapter, coming to the end. What of the hunter bold, brother? The watch was long and cold. What of the quarry ye went to kill? Brother, he crops in the jungle still. Where is the power that made your pride? Brother, it ebbs from my flank and side. Where is the haste that ye hurry by? Brother, I go to my lair to die. When Mowgli left the wolves' cave, after the fight with the pack of the Council Rock, he went down to the plowed lands where the villagers lived, but he would not stop there because it was too near to the jungle. And he knew that he had made at least one bad enemy at the council. So he hurried on, keeping on the rough road that ran down the valley, and followed it at a steady jog trot for nearly 20 miles till he came to a country that he did not know. The valley opened out into a great plain, dotted over with rocks and cut up ravines. At one end stood a little village, and at the other, the thick jungle came down in a sweep to the grazing grounds and stopped there as though it had been cut off with a hoe. All over the plain, cattle, buffaloes graze. And when the little boys, sticking together in the humidity of this jungle, these pages are, when the little boys in charge of the herd saw Mowgli, they shouted and ran away. And the yellow Parish dog that hangs about, every Indian village barked. Mowgli walked on, for he was feeling hungry. And when he came to the village gate, he saw the big thorn bush that was drawn up before the gate at twilight and pushed on one side. Humph! He said, for he had come across more than one such barricade in his night rambles. After things to eat. So men are afraid of the people of the jungle here also. He sat down by the gate, and when a man came out, he stood up, opened his mouth, and pointed down to show that he wanted food. The man stared and ran back up the one street of the village, shouting for the priest, who was a big fat man dressed in white with a red and yellow mark on his forehead. The priest came to the gate, and with him at least 100 people who stared and talked and shouted and pointed at Mowgli. They have no manners, these men folk, said Mowgli to himself. Only the gray ape would behave as they do. So he threw back his long hair and frowned at the crowd. What is there to be afraid of? Said the priest. Look at the marks on his arms and legs. They are the bites of wolves. He is but the wolf child run away from the jungle. Of course, in playing together, the cubs had often nipped Mowgli harder than they intended, and there were white scars all over his arms and legs, but he would have been the last person in the world to call these bites, for he knew what a real bite meant. "Arr, arr," said 2 or 3 of the women together. There you go, look at that. That looks like a tiger to me. Said 2 or 3 women together. "Arr, arr. To be bitten by wolves, poor child. He is a handsome boy. He has eyes like red fire by my honor, Nesua. He is not unlike thy boy that was taken by the tiger. Look Let me look, said the woman with heavy copper rings on her wrists and ankles. She peered at Mowgli under the palm of her hand. Indeed, he is not. He is thinner, but he has the very look of my boy. The priest was very a clever man, and he knew that Mesusa was the wife of the, get in my mouth here, Mesua was the wife of the richest villager in the place. So he looked up at the sky for a minute and said solemnly, what the jungle has taken, the jungle has restored. Take the boy into thy house, my sister, and forget not to honor the priest who seems so far into the lives of men. By the bull that brought me, said Mowgli to himself, but all this taking is like another looking over by the pack. Well, if I am a man must become. A man must I become. The crowd parted as the woman beckoned Mowgli to her hut, where there was a red lacquered bedstand, a great earthen grain chest with funny raised patterns on it, half a dozen copper cooking pots, an image of a Hindu god. In a little alcove and on the wall, a red-looking glass such as they sell at the county fairs. She gave him a long drink of milk and some bread, and then she laid her hand on his head and looked into his eyes, for she thought perhaps he might be her real son, come back from the jungle where the tiger had taken him. So she said, Natho. Oh, Natho. Mowgli did not show that he knew the name. Dost thou not remember the day when I gave thee thy new shoes? She touched his foot, and it was almost as hard as horn. No, she said sorrowfully. Those feet had never worn shoes, but thou art very like my Nathu. And thou shalt be my son. Mowgli was easy because he had never been under a roof before. But he had looked at the thatch. He saw that he could tear it out any time if he wanted to get away, and that the window had no fastenings. What is the good of a man, he said to himself at last, if he does not understand a man's talk? Now I am as silly and dumb as a man would be with us in the jungle. I must speak their talk. It was not for fun that he had learned while he was with the wolves, or to imitate the challenge of bucks in the jungle and the grunts of Little Wild Pig. So as soon as Mesua pronounced the word, Mowgli would imitate it almost perfectly, and before dark he had learned the names of many things in the hut. There was a difficulty at bedtime because Mowgli would not sleep under anything that looked so like a panther trap as that hut, and when they shut the door, he went through the window. Give him his will, said Mesua's husband. Remember, he can never till now have slept on a bed. If he is indeed sent to the place of our son, he will not run away. So Mowgli stretched himself in some long, clean grass at the edge of the field, but before he had closed his eyes, a soft gray nose poked him under the chin. Phew, said Gray Brother. He was the eldest of Mother Wolf's cubs. This is a poor reward for following the 20 miles. Thou smellest of wood smoke and cattle, although like a man already wake, little brother, I bring news. Are all well in the jungle? Said Mowgli, hugging him. All except the wolves that were burned with the red flower. Now listen. Shere Khan has gone away to hunt far off till his coat grows again, for he is badly singed. When he returns, he swears that he will lay thy bones in the Waingunga. There are two words to that. I also have made a little promise, but news is always good. I am tired tonight, very tired with new things, Gray brother. But bring me the news always. Thou wilt not forget that thou art a wolf? ? Men will not make thee forget, said Gray brother anxiously. Gray brother and Mowgli, you will not forget that you are a wolf. Wake, little brother, I bring news. Never, I will always remember that I love thee and all in our cave, but also I will always remember that I have been cast out of the pack. And that thou mayest be cast out of another pack. Men are only men, little brother, and their talk is like the talk of frogs in a pond. When I come down here again, I will wait for thee in the bamboos at the edge of the grazing ground. For 3 months after that night, Mowgli hardly ever left the village gate. He was so busy learning the ways and the customs of men. First he had to wear clothes around him, which annoyed him horribly, and then he had to learn about money, which he did not in the least understand, and about plowing, of which he did not see the use. Then little children in the village made him very angry. Luckily, the law of the jungle had taught him to keep his temper. For in the jungle, life and food depend on keeping your temper. But when they made fun of him because he would not play games or fly kites, or because he mispronounced some word, only the knowledge that it was unsportsmanlike to kill little naked cubs kept him from picking them up and breaking them in two. Remember the code, I think, of violence for doing something wrong as a punishment that the animals had in the jungle, right? He did not know his own strength in the least. In the jungle, he knew he was weak compared with the beast, but in the village, people said that he was as strong as a bull. And Mowgli had not the faintest idea of the difference that caste makes between man and man. When the potter's donkey slipped into the clay pit, Mowgli hauled it out by the tail and helped to stack the pots for their journey to the market at Kaniwara. That was very shocking too, for the potter is a low caste man, and his donkey is worse. When the priest scolded him, Mowgli threatened to put him on a donkey too, and the priest told Messua's husband that Mowgli had better not set to work as soon as possible. Better be set to work as well. And the village headman told Mowgli that he would have to go with the buffaloes the next day, and herd them while they grazed. No one was more pleased than Mowgli. And that night, because he had been appointed a servant of the village, as it were, he went off to a circle that met every evening on a masonry platform under a great fig tree. It was the village club, and the headman and the watchman of the barber, who knew all the gossip of the village, and old Buldeo, the village hunter, who had a tower musket, met and smoked. The monkeys sat and talked in the upper branches, and there was a hole under the platform where a cobra lived, and he had his little platter of milk every night because he was scared. And the old men sat round the tree and talked and pulled at the big hookahs, the water pipes, till far into the night. They told wonderful tales of gods and men and ghosts, and Buldeo told even more wonderful ones of the ways of beasts in the jungle, till the eyes of the children sitting outside the circle bulged out of their heads. Most of the tales were about animals, for the jungle was always at their door. deer and the wild pig grubbed up their crops, and now and again the tiger carried off a man at twilight within sight of the village gates. Mowgli, who naturally knew something about what they were talking of, had to cover his face not to show that he was laughing, while Buldeo, the tower musket across his knees, climbed on from one wonderful story to another, and Mowgli's shoulders shook. Buldeo was explaining how the tiger that had carried away Messua's son was a ghost tiger, and his body was inhabited by the ghost of a wicked old moneylender who had died some years ago. And I know that this is true, he said, because Purun Das always limps from the blow that he got in a riot when his account books were burned, and the tiger that I speak of, he limps too, for the tracks of his pads are unequal. True, true. That must be the truth, said the graybeards, nodding together. Are all these tales such cobwebs and moon talk? Said Mowgli. That tiger limps because he was born lame? I think they're talking about the tiger, Shere Khan. As everyone knows, to talk of the soul of the moneylender is a beast that never had the courage of a jackal is the child's talk. Buldeo was speechless with surprise for a moment, and the head man started. Oh, it is the jungle brat, is it? Says Buldeo. If thou art so wise, better bring his hide to Khanhiwara, for the government has set 100 rubies on his life. Better still, talk not when thy elders speak. Good lesson for everybody, right? Here we are. This is a cool illustration. It says, Mowgli, are all these tales such cobwebs and moon talk? Said Mowgli, questioning all the people of the villagers. Mowgli of the jungle, new to the people of village, to people, human beings. Mowgli rose to go. All the evening I have lain here listening. He called back over his shoulder, and except once or twice, Buldeo had not said one word of truth concerning the jungle, which is at his very doors. How then shall I believe the tales of ghosts and gods and goblins which he says he has seen? It is full time that the boy went to herding, said the head man, while Buldeo puffed and snorted at Mowgli's impertinence. The custom of most Indian villages is for a few boys to take the cattle and the buffaloes out to graze in the early morning and bring them back at night. The very cattle that would trample a white man to death allow themselves to be banged and bullied and shouted at by children, you know, that hardly come up to their noses. So long as the boys keep with the herds, they are safe. For not even the tiger will charge a mob of cattle. But if they straggle, to pick flowers or hunt lizards, they are sometimes carried off. Mowgli went through the village street in the dawn, sitting on the back of Rama, the great herd bull, and the slaty blue buffaloes with their long, backward sweeping horns and savage eyes rose out of their burns one by one and followed him, and Mowgli made it very clear to the children with him that he was the master. He beat the buffaloes with a long polished bamboo and told Kamya, one of the boys, to graze the cattle by themselves while he went on with the buffaloes, and to be very careful not to stray anywhere from the herd. An Indian grazed ground is all the rocks and scrub and tussocks and little ravines among which the herds scatter and disappear. Buffaloes generally keep to the pools and muddy places where they lie wallowing or basking in the warm mud for hours. Mowgli drove them on to the edge of the plain, where the Waingunga came out of the jungle. Then he dropped from Rama's neck, trotting off to the bamboo clump, and found the gray bear. "Ah," said Gray Bear, "I have waited here very many days. What is the meaning of the cattle herding work?" said the Gray Bear. "It is an order," said Mowgli. I'm a village herd for a while." "What news of Shere Khan?" "He has come back to this country and has waited here a long time for thee. Now he has gone off, for the game is scarce, but he means to kill thee." Dun dun dun. Till tomorrow, the adventure in the jungle continues. Hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. Stay safe.